You're listening to Head Voice, bringing you inside the minds of singers and sound creators who are redefining what it means to make music with the voice. I'm Evan.
And I'm Kayla. And this week we have Quinn D'Andrea on. Quinn was a camper at Cappella Academy and now is an instructor there. She's currently a student at USC studying popular music and is in the SoCal VoCals. During this episode, we talked about her musical life growing up, how she ended up at Cappella Academy, and her experience in the VoCals.
Since we recorded this episode with Quinn, the VoCals have actually advanced to ICCA semifinals in the West region, which is in Salem, Oregon this weekend, and they're looking for some help to get out there, so we'll link to their competition fund if you want to help them with the travel and all the expenses that come with that. Just a reminder that we are having a live panel in a few short weeks at the Boston Sings Boss Acapella Festival. It's going to be called Bursting the Aca Bubble, with 4 really talented music professionals from the area. And if you can't make it out, we will be putting it out as an episode for you to listen to. Without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Quinn D'Andrea.
D'Andrea. We're super excited to have her on. Hi.
Hi. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. We're going to kind of start it off by going back to the beginning. So if you wouldn't mind saying where you're from and where you grew up and were raised.
Yeah, I was born in upstate New York, and I lived there until I think I was 8. And then we moved to Santa Monica, and I lived there until I went to USC, which I'm at USC right now. So
you clearly have some degree of a musical family with your sister doing music and you're doing music. Was that something that was big in the household?
Oh, yeah. I started playing classical piano when I was 4. I started taking lessons. And I did classical piano all the way until I graduated from high school. And my younger sister also does piano. And then my older sister also, she's an actor and a writer. And so all 3 of us did theater growing up together at this community theater called the Morgan Wixon Theater, which is in Santa Monica. And I did choir, and so did my sister. So it was in the whole family growing up. Since we moved, pretty much, once we moved to Santa Monica, we really started doing theater and stuff all together.
Were your parents musicians that they encouraged that, or did it just kind of happen that way?
Yeah, my parents never pursued music, but they're both musically inclined. My mom doesn't really like to say that she is, but my dad definitely, would always be playing piano when we were little and singing with us and stuff. So that was, that's what happened at home, but they don't actually do any music for work or anything, but definitely a musical family.
Right. Since you all were so musically inclined, would you put on shows together or sing together at all? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we totally would. So on my dad's side of the family, he's one of 6 siblings, and so we have a big family on that side, and we would have Sunday dinners with all of our cousins and stuff, and we would put on shows with our cousins who also would do music stuff or little skits and stuff, and we would put those on every Sunday all together. And then my sisters and I used to put on random now that we're talking about this, I'm remembering
it's all
little things that we used to do. I remember my older sister wrote a whole play, and wrote a whole script for it and stuff, and we all performed it, and I composed the music for it and things like that. We would definitely do growing up all together.
Yeah. So when you started piano, was that something that you were asking to do, or was it just you're going to do this?
When I was even younger, probably 3, we had a piano in our living room, and my parents tell me that I used to go up to the piano when I'd hear music on commercials and stuff on TV, and I would go up and play the melodies that I would hear just by ear. And I think that told them oh, maybe that's something, she should do. And so then I started taking lessons. And they were super chill. When I lived in New York, I had a fantastic teacher, but once I moved to Santa Monica, I had a really, really strict classical piano teacher, and it was a very rigorous time of my life. But I learned so much from that in terms of musicality, but also theory-wise and arranging-wise and stuff. Just like learned so much from her.
When did the singing come into the equation? Alongside the piano, after?
Way after. I definitely only considered myself a pianist. I mean, I was pretty young, I guess, but compared to how young I was when I played piano, it feels like it was a long time after. But I was at the end of elementary school. I specifically remember seeing a girl singing at the talent show, and for some reason, it really just struck me, and I was like, I have to do that. I'm going to sing now. And then I just decided to start singing. I didn't naturally, I just saw someone else. Maybe it was jealousy. I don't really know. That's how I started.
I want to be you. I need to do that.
Yes.
And so from there, did you kind of like join choirs and do that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I joined choir in elementary school, and then, middle school, I was in choir, and then high school, I really was a huge choir nerd. I was the president of the choir, and then I led the girls' a cappella group there, and then I was in the all women's choir and the mixed choir, and I was like the TA in the lower choir as well, and I lived in the choir room all day, every day.
So all the things possible.
Yes, huge choir nerd.
And then so I believe in high school you attended Academy, Cappella Academy. How did you find out about that, and how was that experience?
Yeah, so I think it must have been my junior year of high school. I randomly posted this video of myself singing on YouTube, and the only reason that I posted it was because I was trying to send it to my mom, and I couldn't figure out how to send a file that big, like over text to my mom. So I put it on YouTube so she could get the link. And then she ended up sharing it on Facebook because she was my mom, and she was like, look at my daughter. And then one of her friends from work shared it, and then he knew someone that knew Ben Bram, who saw the video, and then he reposted it, and then he messaged me on Facebook and was like, I hear that USC is, your top choice for school, and he started talking, and we just started talking over Facebook and got to know each other. And then I remember I met him. I think I went to a pentatonic show, and that was when I met him for the first time, and then he ended up reaching out to me about going to Cappella Academy, and was like, audition for it, and I didn't really know much about it, and it ended up being like really just the best week ever. It was so much fun, and that was really what made me want to do a cappella going into college much more than before. It was like a whole different experience. It was really cool.
Like what were the sort of takeaways for you going to a cappella Academy for the first time?
I think it was a really interesting time because I had just been at Young Arts in January, and I spent a week doing contemporary voice there. And it was an enjoyable time, but a lot of it for me was it felt kind of competitive, and it was really high intensity. And so then going to a cappella Academy after that, it was so cool to experience this. It wasn't a competitive environment in any way, and it was just this incredibly supportive group of people that were so talented, and I had never been around that many people that had so many different things to offer. And there's something so special about being with a group of people, your age, but also being with the staff, these people that you respect so much, but you also feel so closely connected to them on a friendship level as well. And that was a really unique experience. I had also never been to a camp of any sort, like a sleepaway camp or anything. I never did that growing up. So that was my first experience doing it, and I was about to go off to college. But it was kind of a taste of like being away and just being surrounded by musicians. And it was incredible. It was awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of or from talking to people who do Academy, it seems like it kind of feeds out to Berkeley and Thornton and to like a lot of music schools. Had you already decided that USC was the place that you were going to be going into Academy?
Yeah, I was so I went to Academy after I graduated, so I already knew that I was already going to USC. But it was really cool to go there and meet a lot of people that had graduated from USC and getting to talk to them about it. And that was really what made me even more excited about auditioning for the SoCal VoCals, because I was like, this is what I need to do, because there were so many people that were in vocals and stuff. But yeah, it's a really cool place for people, especially, I mean, I only got the last year of high school, but for a lot of people that come in their freshman year of high school or even sophomore year, when they're still thinking about college and they don't really know what they want to do, they get to meet a lot of people that are planning to go there, are, in the middle of going there, that are just becoming staff members, or people that have graduated from, a lot of different schools, and they get to talk to a lot of people about different things. And I think that really shifts their perspectives on things and really inspires them to, reach for those kinds of schools, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned SoCal VoCals. So when did that come about? Was that in your freshman year?
Yeah. I'd already wanted to be in vocals by the time I went to Academy the summer before my freshman year. And then really getting a chance to talk to more people, like Tori Stolper, who is an alumni of the vocals, and she was a staff member at Academy. She helped me figure out what my audition song was going to be while we were at camp. I was so excited to audition for vocals. That was the thing I was looking forward to. And I auditioned first semester of my freshman year, and I was so scared, and it was just this group of older people that I didn't know, and they were all so cool, and I was so intimidated, but it was truly the best thing that I could have been able to do coming in freshman year. I didn't know anyone in my program, and I've become such good friends with everyone in my program, and I love it, but it was really a special family to be a part of, just coming in fresh as a freshman to USC. It was really cool.
Yeah.
What program is that you study in?
Yeah, I study popular music. I'm a popular performance major, and I specifically am a vocalist, and I also play piano. And I've, taken piano lessons and play piano in bands and stuff within that program.
Cool. So was 2015 your first year in the group?
Yeah.
So obviously in 2015, a lot of things happened. That's your first year, and you're already going to ICCA finals and winning it there. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that whirlwind of an experience like for you? Leading question.
Yeah. I mean, that really, competing the first year I was in vocals really intensified the entire experience right off the bat. But that was a really cool thing, because as a freshman, I was so dedicated to the group, and I just looked up to everyone so much, and I looked forward to spending time with them. And obviously when, you're competing, you're spending a lot of time together, right. But I was just so ecstatic to be in the group and be a part of it, that it was really the best year ever. And that's why, I was really excited to compete again. We're competing tomorrow in quarterfinals. And I was just really excited to compete again, because the experience the first time was just something that was so special. I can't really put it into words how incredible it was. That was really one of the biggest memories I'm going to take away from USC, was competing in ICCA's freshman year, for sure.
So you came into the group and you immediately had a solo in that set. Something that we found from doing our research is that it feels like you're a very confident person, like a self-starter kind of vibe is what we've gotten from social media and the internet anyway. But at least from my experience being in an acapella group, you see a lot of people come into a group and they're kind of scared to be themselves fully, or they're not really able to develop until they reach a certain level of comfort. What was it about the group and the way that you approached it that kind of allowed you to, be that involved so early on, and so presumably feeling like you belonged in that way?
Yeah. Something that I have always said about vocals, and I say it to a lot of the younger members now, is that vocals really had a huge part in making me who I am right now. Because I came in just to USC as a freshman, really very shy, and I wouldn't say I was insecure, but I definitely kept to myself and was afraid to be, loud and totally be myself. And vocals, everyone in the group, no matter, what time the group is at, and, the group cycles through people and everything, but no matter what, the group just has a way of accepting you fully for who you are always, and just pushing you to be that all the time and be proud of that. And so I think coming in as a freshman to this group of people that were just so welcoming, and we're just asking you to continue to be yourself more than you were asking yourself, that really changed me, and that made me so much more open to just being weird and being myself and owning it. And and I think that was a reason why I felt confident enough to even audition for a solo for the ICCA set, because people were supportive of everyone, and they wanted everyone to audition, and they just validated something that, sorry, this is a kind of a segue, but something that they always would say. Older members of vocals would always say this when we would have little group talks or dinners or something. We all go around and say a little something once in a while, and something that they say is that everyone in the group voted for you to be here, because it's a unanimous vote to get into the group. And so they just remind you that every single person in the room wanted you to be here, and you're here for a reason. And that's something that we always stress to each other, that we all wanted every single one of us to be here, and we're here for a reason. And so I think that's a really beautiful thing about vocals, and it's really hard to get into, and it is quite exclusive in certain ways, but being in the group, you belong there, and you know why you're there, and you know that everyone there loves you. And I think that was really something that made me a lot more excited to just be myself and go out of my comfort zone, especially performing in front of such big audiences and with such high stakes. We were just so supportive of each other through the whole thing that it was all going to be okay, and we all knew that.
Kind of on the flip side, now that you're a senior looking back at all of this, and you're music director, and you also arrange for the group, you've done a ton of different things. What are the sort of the things that you try to implement and sort of keep going tradition-wise? Yeah.
So I'm actually not music director anymore. We swapped over in November. So I was music director for a year. And yeah, being an older member in the group, it's such a strange thing to look back to myself as a freshman, because everything seemed like the end of the world as a freshman. If things would go wrong or we were behind on things, competing especially, everything was the end of the world. It's like if people were late to rehearsal, or if people couldn't remember their parts, and I think being older in the group, and going through ICCAs and seeing everything happen, things fall into place, and they always will, and things come together at the last minute, and I think that's something that I try to remind people, especially in the way that I would direct the group musically in the past. Something that I really learned from Nathan Heldman, who was the previous music director of vocals, was that patience is absolutely the key to leading the group. Because in the moment when you're leading and things aren't going the way that you want, in your mind you want to just freak out and be like, okay, well that sucks, so let's move on, or something, but something that Nathan was so good at was staying so composed and supporting the group so much and being like, okay, cool, that's gonna be good, let's run it again, let's tweak this little thing, and everything was chill, SoCal. And things would just come. Yeah, it's all chill, man. But things would end up really coming together, and that's something that I really learned from him, and I think that's something that's good to implement within the group always, is to just be patient with each other, and to trust the group, and to trust everyone's hard work and everyone's talent, and everyone's opinions too, and just to trust each other, because that's really what gets us from A to B, you know?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, from everything that I can tell about the group, there's like, it's one of the strongest legacies of collegiate acapella that exists in terms of, I think there's a house that is like a vocal house, and you know there've been so many alum that have come through that, you know, have gone on to do big things in the industry. You know, Ben and Scott and people like that are doing so much. So like, how do you feel that kind of the group and the support system of, you know, the whole network of alumni have kind of shaped what you've been able to take out of it and what the group's been able to kind of take out of it in that way?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think the alumni network is one of the most important aspects of why the group is so strong and why it's successful. There are so many people that are here to give us advice, you know, that have been successful with, you know, doing different a cappella things, or as songwriters, or as other people in the entertainment industry, you know, and they come back, they're here for us, current vocals always. And that's really, really cool. And I do think that that's something that's somewhat unique. And I know there are a lot of groups that have, you know, alumni that are strongly connected, but we have traditions that we continue to have within the group that keep the alumni together from, you know, 20 years ago that still come back. We have alumni rehearsals that we have every semester where it's usually a surprise to our new members, but all the alumni show up to a rehearsal and we just spend hours talking, going around giving advice to all of the noobs that are in, and singing all together. We keep songs in our repertoire that were arranged the first year, like in 1996. We still have songs that we sing, so that when alumni come back, we can all still be a part of it together. Yeah, it's something super special. I mean, I remember my first time having an alumni retreat my freshman year, and it was shocking. There were 30 to 40 people at the vocal house, because that's where we rehearse. And I mean, people have come with like their children and stuff, and it's just this huge family, and it feels like that. And that was the first time where that really clicked for me, where I saw all of these alumni in the house all together singing the same songs and stuff. I was like, this is a family that I will be a part of forever, and these are the people that are going to be my best friends when I graduate. And that's such a beautiful thing, and that's such a comforting thing to know, especially as a freshman coming in. You feel very isolated, and you feel very lost and, you know, nervous, not knowing too many people, and to feel so supported by such a huge group of people, not just the current group, but all of the alumni, is just such a beautiful thing.
Right. That's awesome. I feel like having that legacy and that support system is helpful, not only for like moments like that when you're all together, but also like throughout the year if you need a resource or like someone to get advice from.
Yes.
And like, since you guys you're performing in ICCAs tomorrow, competing in ICCA tomorrow, is that something where you've reached out to alumni for help and assistance, or just in that way at all?
Yeah, we had Ben Bram come in and just help us for a little bit. It might have been last week, and then last night we just did our set one last time, and we had a couple alumni come and watch it. And we did that last time we competed as well. And we have, at quarterfinals tomorrow, there's a group of alumni, I think it's about 40 vocal alumni that got a party bus, and they are driving the party bus an hour away to Pomona to come watch us at quarterfinals.
With all due respect, that is the most USC thing that I've heard in my life.
It's true. It really is. It really is. And I mean, it's a good thing. We're really excited for all the support and everything, but we're also a little nervous about 40 vocals coming from a party bus into a big auditorium to watch us perform. It's going to be a lot, but we're really excited, and we're really just happy to have that kind of support. And it definitely puts a little pressure on things. I mean, having that legacy puts a lot more pressure on the group to succeed in any way, but especially in ICCAs, because that's just what vocals are known for at this point. And,
like when you go, you win.
Really, and it's hard for the group. I mean, last year we were going to compete, and a lot of things went wrong one after the other for the group, and people started dropping out, and people started saying, if we do compete, I'm leaving, and we just decided, and it was a lot of pressure because of this legacy we have, you know. We feel like if we go, we have to win, and the pressure kind of got to us at a certain point, and we just thought to ourselves, like, is this worth it? And it wasn't worth losing all these people, and it's not the reason we're in vocals. It's not to win. And so going into competing this year, it was a lot easier for us to kind of recognize that we're not doing this to win. We're doing it to make the group better and to be closer. And that's it. That's why we're doing it.
Right.
And obviously we're going to do our best, and, you know, we're going to aim to win, but that's not the end goal really for us at this point. And it's really nice to know. And it does relieve a little bit of the pressure for us all, just to know we're doing it for different reasons, and for really good reasons too.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask, like, with, you know, the pressure and everything that exists, to kind of, you know, uphold the legacy, and, you know, you carry over songs from a long time ago and stuff. How do you kind of, how does the group and you try to, you know, push things forward while staying kind of true to stuff? Because I think vocals kind of have like that classic sound, but also, you know, you look at 2015 and that's like doing a ton of innovative stuff with like choreo and arrangement and all that stuff. Like, how do you balance the two?
It is a hard thing to balance sometimes, keeping certain traditions and letting certain ones go, because it's all a decision about, you know, what we want to do moving forward. And I think it makes it a lot easier to just have new people coming in. Because, I mean, even with smaller things like our social media, we have someone new that's on our social media now. She's a sophomore, Nina, in the group. And she just came up with this whole idea of, you know, us all recording covers and her posting them every day of different people singing. And that's been really cool for us. And a lot of people have really enjoyed seeing that. And that's something new that we haven't done before. And she just came in with this idea, you know, as a newer member of the group. And I think it's cool to just have new people come in with new ideas and different backgrounds, different, different musical styles as well. I think that's what changes us as a group a lot too. We don't follow a specific genre or style throughout the years. We try not to. We kind of just go based off of who's in the group and what kind of what kind of vibe we all have at the time. And that's like what we go for when we're arranging music and picking songs and stuff.
I just have one more question about vocals. If my memory serves, y'all went to China. Is that right? Is that wrong?
We went to Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, yes.
Yes.
What are there any stories from that you can share? Because that's not
oh my
a lot of
gosh.
acapella groups get to do.
Yeah. Hong Kong was insane. First of all, a lot of us didn't really know what was going on, why we were going, who was hiring us. I still couldn't tell you really who hired us, or like the real purpose that we were going. But I do know that when we went, we performed at different schools. So it was a part of a youth educational program of some sort. And it was amazing. I mean, it was the best trip I've ever taken. It was so cool. It was a really cool experience because, I mean, I'm a pop singer and I hope to be able to tour at some point. And I think that really was a taste of what that would be like, because basically we were hired to go there and we were kind of told what to do every day, you know, we stayed in this hostel while we were there. That was super cool. And we would just be in the lobby at this time, and then the bus is going to take you to these 3 different performances throughout the day, and then you'll be done at this time. And then we just went and we just did it. And we got to meet other a cappella groups that were performing with us, one from Japan and one from France, and that was amazing. They were so cool. And yeah, we it was just a very strange thing. I feel like none of us really knew what was happening the whole time. And we were just kind of doing what we were told, but it was really
like
cool.
An out-of-body experience a little bit.
It really was. And the nightlife was also really cool. And so we'd go out with the other groups too. And yeah, it was really fun. It was just very strange. Like when I try to explain it to people, it's very confusing. Like why we even went. Because I can't really explain it myself because I don't really know. But it was very cool and it was very fun.
Well, it sounds like you've been having a lot of awesome experiences from ICCA to Hong Kong
Yes.
in vocals. I think just to bring it full circle. So you're currently an instructor at Cappella Academy, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when did that sort of become a thing in this whole picture?
After my first year at Academy, I got really close to a lot of people that were on the staff. Mm-hmm. And so I think over the next year, I just started talking to Ben about potentially interning there. And so the next year I was an intern. And I was an intern for 2 years. And then this past year, I became an instructor. And I was a co-director under Shams, who led our group. And yeah, that was so cool. And it was really cool to transition from being a camper to being on the staff. And it does feel very full circle. And it's been a really cool thing, and I hope to continue doing that for a long time because it's a really cool environment, and I think all of the campers that come really learn a lot about themselves and a lot about music, and I just support what they are doing so much, and I think it's really so incredible that like the thing that they created at Cappella Academy.
Yeah,
so it's an honor to have been able to become, part of the staff.
Right. And I also feel like just because you were someone who experienced it as a student or as a camper, you kind of understand that perspective more too. So like I'm sure that's helpful when you're instructing and like knowing like what's going through their head and how they're experiencing the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a cool thing to be on one side and then to be able to be on the other. And also age-wise, I'm right in between everyone too, which is cool. So I feel like I really connect with a lot of the campers because they're very close to my age, as well as, everyone on the staff. So it's a cool place to be kind of in between everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So that kind of figures into your role doing like music education-y stuff because you started a choir at a local high school. Was that kind of born out of doing stuff at Academy, or how did that kind of come about?
That was before Academy. I think it was my junior year of high school when I started it. So it's my mom teaches biology at this high school. And it's in South Central, so it's close to USC, but at the time I was in Santa Monica. And I went there once a week, and it was just an after-school club choir. So it was like a, kind of a volunteer thing that I would go and do every week. And it was really cool because they didn't have a music program of any kind at the school. And so I just imagined what my life would have been like if I didn't have music in school. And it's really insane. I mean, I really think my life would have gone in a completely different direction if I wasn't able to do music in middle school and especially in high school. I mean, that was what made me want to do music for the rest of my life. And so I just think it's unfair, really, that I was able to get that and so many people are not. And so I tried to do whatever I could to provide any sort of music enrichment and like anything, just feeling validated in any way that you can do this in any context, really. I think everyone deserves that wants to be a part of music in some way. And now after learning so much from going to Academy and being in vocals and being in the music school at USC, I do feel excited to help other people learn new things about music too. And I think that's really important. And there were so many people that I've looked up to and learned so much from, and I just hope that I can be someone like that to different people as well.
Yeah, totally. Well, speaking of creating things, you have a band that you were part of forming called Trousdale, and like
Yes.
there's lots of college bands. I've been in one, and there's a lot of mediocre ones, but you're actually good. So
Thank you.
so how did you kind of put that together, and then what's kind of been your experience and takeaways from doing that in school?
So Trousdale started our freshman year at USC, and it's myself and two other women that are the lead singers in the group, and we're all in the pop program at USC, and so we were all friends. And Lauren, which is one of the singers, she kind of just I can't really remember actually how it so naturally began, the three of us singing together. I think Lauren and Georgia are the other two girls. And I think Lauren asked the two of us to sing harmonies on a Christmas song because she wanted to send it to her. She wanted to send it to her mom to tell her that she was, having fun in college or something. And then
it always starts with sending a video to your mom
Yeah,
or someone's
true.
mom.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's weird. Thanks, Mom. And so it ended up vibing really well, and our voices clicked really well, and we were like, oh, this sounds pretty good. Like, let's keep singing other things together. And we started singing original songs that Lauren and Georgia were writing together for a while, and Lauren had this crazy idea to go on a tour, and we weren't a band. She was like, let's just go on a tour. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, let's be a band first, maybe. And so then we kind of put together other musicians, and we're like, let's think of a name. And we chose Trousdale because it's a street that runs right through the center of USC. And we didn't go on tour for a while, but we started making more music together and playing more shows together, and just spent a lot of time writing and arranging, the three of us. Georgia and Lauren wrote for the most part the first, I would say, year and a half of us being a band, and I arranged most of the vocal stuff. And then as we went on, the three of us started doing everything all together, because at the beginning, I didn't really consider myself much of a songwriter coming into USC. I was just really overwhelmed by how talented all of the other songwriters were in the program. But spending more time with them and being creative with them really helped me and my writing. And so we all started writing together. And then, we went on a small East Coast tour, and we've done some little writing sessions in Michigan, and we spent some time in Nashville writing with people too. And then this past semester, Lauren went abroad to Manchester, so we've kind of been on a break for a while, and that's been really cool for us because we've been able to explore our own passions and our own writing and our own artist projects. And so now it's just a matter of kind of coming back and figuring out where we're all at, So, yeah.
Totally. And you'd also mentioned that even before you were like writing more, you were doing like the vocal arranging for Trousdale and stuff, which kind of, it goes across a cappella and instrumental music. Like vocal arranging will always be a thing. Are there are there tricks that you have, or like a certain mindset that you use when you're arranging things for vocals?
When we first started arranging, I don't remember anything specific where, I had any specific way of going about it. If I did, I think I just didn't really think about it. But I think one of the most important things about going into arrangement, whether it be for just, 3-part female vocalist type thing with a band, or whether it be for an entire a cappella group, taking a step back and looking at the big picture of the song and where the arc is supposed to be, and emotionally hitting it where it needs to be hit, and whether that means building it to some sort of musical climax, or maybe if that's not what the song calls for and you want to be left hanging, really taking the emotion into account more than anything, and then kind of arranging from there, I think is the most important thing, because that's the reason why we listen to music. I mean, we don't listen to it to pick it apart and, you know, to hear all of the specific extensions that you're using or how you got from, you know, this chord to this chord. You're listening to it to feel something and to relate to it in some way. And so if that's where you're starting, I think you can't go wrong in that way, you know?
Yeah, that totally makes sense too. And I feel like using that as like an inspiration point in any medium, so may it be a cappella or with your group or in a Cappella Academy, which is completely different from SoCal. Like, that's all important in creating music that will impact people in different ways.
Totally. I fully agree. I think honesty is the number one most important thing in music. And I think with honesty comes empathy too, and just understanding emotion and understanding other people, and just really being truthful with whatever you're doing. Even if you're not arranging, if you're just executing an arrangement and performing it, I think doing it honestly is really what's going to make the difference between something that's mediocre and something that's extraordinary.
Totally. Completely agree with that. So we're actually nearing the end of our episode today, and we have 2 questions that we like to ask our guests. So the first one is just what sort of trends do you see in vocal music or a cappella that you're excited by and looking forward to see sort of blossom?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think something that I've been seeing that's really awesome, especially because I am a songwriter, is more original music that's being done in an a cappella context. And I think that's super dope and really important, and is really bringing it to a different level in terms of where it can go as an entire, you know, genre of music. It's not just covering music anymore. It's creating even more than that, which I think is really, really cool. And I'm super, super stoked about that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to ask you this question, because I know when I was in your place in college, I hated getting asked what I was going to do next. But what's next on your plate with graduation and everything that's coming up?
Yes, I have no idea. So that's my answer. But I mean, honestly, I'm so thankful to be graduating from this program at USC, because they have taught us so much about being equipped in a bunch of different areas in music. And so I can honestly just say I would be happy to be doing anything in music, whether that be arranging music for a cappella or arranging for a band or for vocalists or singing background vocals, playing keys. I also really enjoyed doing theater a lot growing up, and am hoping to explore that a little bit more upon graduation, because I haven't really had a chance to do it with vocals and with being in the pop program these past 4 years. So I don't have any specific plans once I graduate, really just to do anything, just get my hands on anything musical that I can, and hopefully make a living out of that. And if not, you know, I'll be living at my parents', so that's okay too.
Well, I think you're well equipped to make a good go of it, and by the time this comes out, it'll be weird, but good luck at ICCA tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be good. You. There's no way it can't.
You have 40 people who will be screaming for you, so that at least will be fun.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. Wow.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks for talking to us, and we hope that you will join us next week for a new episode of Headlights.